कंपाइलर डिजाइन में हम पहुंचे थे, वेयर वेर वी इन कंपाइलर डिजाइन। What are the phases of compiler? Intermediate code generation. The parse tree is semantically confirmed. Now an intermediate code generator develops three address codes. Intermediate code generator develops three address code. A middle level language code generator via compiler at the time of the translation of a source program into object program is known as intermediate code or text. Few important pointers. A code that is neither high level or nor machine code but a middle level code is an intermediate code. We can translate this code to machine code later. This stage serves as a bridge or way from analysis to synthesis. Roles and responsibilities helps in maintaining the priority ordering of the source language. Translate the intermediate code into the machine code having operands of instruction. Code optimizer. Now coming to a phase that is totally optional and it is code optimization. It is used to enhance the intermediate code. ये थोड़ा सा मुश्किल लग रहा है, कहीं और से पढ़ेंगे यार। क्या है ये? Semantic analysis. Intermediate code generator. It generates intermediate code which is a form that can be readily, matlab easily executed by a machine. We have many popular intermediate codes. For example, three address codes. Intermediate code is converted to machine language using last two phases. Till intermediate code, it is same for every compiler. Nasabaya. 10th February, chaos. What are the phases of compiler? Compiler operates in various phases. Each phase transforms the source program from one representation to another. कुछ और पढ़ेंगे? It generates it generates intermediate code which is a form that can be readily executed by a machine. We have many popular intermediate codes, for example, three address codes. Intermediate code is converted to machine language using the last two phases which are platform dependent. Till intermediate code, it is the same for every compiler out there. But after that, it depends on the platform. To build a new compiler, we don't need to build it from scratch. We can take the intermediate code from the already existing compiler and build the last two parts. Code optimizer. It transforms the code so that it consumes fewer resources and produces more speed. The meaning of code being transformed is not altered. Optimization can be categorized into two types: machine dependent and machine independent. Target code generator. The main purpose of the target code generator is to write a code that the machine can understand and also register allocation, instruction, selection, extra. The output is dependent on the type of assembler. This is the final आज तक कभी नहीं किया मैंने. अब क्या है? Phases of compiler पे ही पढ़ो. Intermediate code generation. Intermediate code generation लिखा मुझे. Intermediate code generation.
जनरेट हुआ है ये हमारा मशीन कोड में जनरेट होगा विद द यूज ऑफ व्हाट द लास्ट टू फेजेस ओके तो जो गाइस आपके शुरू के चार फेजेस थे तो दीज वर योर एनालिसिस फेज और जो आपके लास्ट के दो फेज है ये आपके सिंथेसिस फेज है ठीक है ये अभी मैं आपको थ्योरेटिकल पार्ट में पूरा दिखाऊंगा अच्छे से ओके सो जो हमारा इंटरमीडिएट कोड जनरेट हुआ है इसको हम एज अ इनपुट देंगे कोड ऑप्टिमाइजर को कोड ऑप्टिमाइजर का काम क्या है जैसे कि हमको समझ में आ रहा है ऑप्टिमाइज करना कोड को मतलब ये हमारा कोड को और बेटर करेगा दैट इज हमारा ताकि सीपीयू टाइम वगैरह एक्स्ट्रा ना लगे जैसे हमारा नंबर ऑफ लाइंस जो है उसको रिड्यूस कर देगा जहां पे अनवांटेड हमारे अननेसेसरी कोड लाइंस होती है उनको रिमूव कर देगा ओके तो कोड ऑप्टिमाइजर हमारा कोड को ऑप्टिमाइज करेगा इट विल रिड्यूस द नंबर ऑफ लाइंस तो जो हमारा इंटरमीडिएट कोड जनरेट हुआ है ये इसको कन्वर्ट करेगा एक ऐसे कोड में
इंशाल्लाह हो
ऑप्टिमाइज
जाएगा
कोड में
इंशाल्लाह।
ताकि हमारा जो कोड है फास्ट रन कर सके और हमारे लेस रिसोर्सेज को कंज्यूम करे ओके फिर उसके बाद जो हमारा ऑप्टिमाइज कोड है इसको हम दे रहे हैं टारगेट कोड जनरेटर को एज अ इनपुट और हमारा फाइनली आउटपुट क्या निकल के आता है असेंबली कोड या फिर आप इसको टारगेट प्रोग्राम बोल सकते हैं ओके पार्सली बनता है कि नहीं बनता है तब हमारे यहाँ पे आउटपुट जनरेट होता है वेरीफाइड सिमेट्रिकली पार्सली
Semantic analysis checks the semantic consistency of the code. It uses the syntax tree of the previous phase along with the symbol table to verify that the given source code is semantically consistent. It also checks whether the code is conveying an appropriate meaning. Semantic analyzer will check for type mismatches, incompatible operands, and a function called with the improper arguments and undeclarable variable. Functions of semantic analysis phases are helps you to store type information gathered and save it in symbol table. बस सिमेंटिक में जाते हैं. Intermediate code generation, code optimization. The next phase is of code optimization or intermediate code. This phase removes unnecessary code line, arranges the sequence of statements to speed up the execution of program without wasting resources. Remove unnecessary code optimization क्या छ ये छ वनान कि next phase छ आसान कुछ code optimization हो और intermediate ये phase छ करान remove unnecessary code line बे क्या छ arrange करान sequence of statements to speed up the execution of the program without wasting resources. The main goal of this phase is to improve on the intermediate code to generate a code that runs faster and occupies less space. The primary function of this phase are it helps you to establish a trade-off between execution operations made. Improves the running time of the target program. Intermediate code generation में क्या वो semantic का समझ क्या चला सा helps you to store information gathered and save it in the symbol, allows you to perform type checking. In the case of type mismatch, when there are no exact type correction, collects type info, checks for type. ना उसको कभी मैं पसंद आया ना मुझे, लेकिन अगर मुझे पसंद आया मैं वहां से भाग गया. Phase 3 Semantic Analysis. Semantic analysis checks the Semantic consistency of the code. It uses the syntax tree of the previous phase along with the symbol table to verify that the given source code is semantically consistent. It also checks whether the code is conveying an appropriate meaning. Semantic analyzer will check for type mismatches, incompatible operands, a function call with improper arguments, and undeclarable variable extra. Helps you to store information, type information gathered and save it in the symbol table or यार ये इंटरमीडिएट कोड जनरेशन क्या चाहता है फिर लेक्सिकल मुझे आया समझ सिंटैक्स एनालिसिस बनाता है सिंटैक्स एनालिसिस क्या करता है is discovering it determines whether or not a text follows the यार वो मैम का ही सुनते हैं चलो मैम का ही सुनेंगे मैम पढ़ाइए मैम कंपाइलर डिजाइन कति गए मैम को गए किधर गई मैम भानुप्रिया मैम पढ़ाइए नहीं मेरी तो कोई नहीं थी
Lexical analyzer represents these lexeme video exporting also questions and identity is this refusion. So again this yes.
Syntax analysis parsing. It takes tokens produced by lexical as input and generates a parse tree. Assignment identifier, new value, assignment expression.
Expression. Again, this expression is divided into expression plus expression. This is identifier. What identify value? So, three is semantic analyzer. So, what syntax analyzer will do? So, it takes the tokens and converted into syntax tree, represented in syntax tree. Next phase is the semantic analyzer. Phase 3, semantic analysis. Phase 3 was
Semantic analysis.
What is parse tree? The token expression.
It takes token produced by lexical as input and generates a parse tree. Syntax analysis क्या करता है? Issue token करान input the parse tree करान output.
So this is a parse tree. So whatever the tokens that is produced by the so the syntax analyzer will do. So it takes the token syntax tree. Next phase is semantic analysis. It checks. So that is this will by using the parse tree of language of value data type. Okay. So semantic analyzer keeps track of identifiers and their types and expressions. It also keep track of identifiers, their types and expressions. So what it means? Let me explain with simple example. Let me take one example. So whatever the expression that taking, that expressions that is semantically correct or not, we have to be checked. Let's take sum is equal to a plus b. So this is the operation we have to do. Let's take, suppose the declarations of these variables are a is integer, double is sum, and character is b. Okay, so what the semantic record will store? The semantic record store a as integer and sum as double and b as character. Okay, is it possible?
मुझे समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा है.
So let me take one simple example of lexical. Represent this in the form of part.
हमारा फाइनली अभी उसकी फुट टेक्निकल बात करते हैं. हमारा एक फाइन करते हैं कमेंट्स एंड टैब्स ये मैं आपको ऑलरेडी बता चुका हूं. तो गाइस
Reads the program, converts it into tokens written in the form of called lexemes. Represent tokens are represented as lexemes, है ना? Token sentences के कब होगा यार? Tokens क्या लिखा है? Meaningful lexemes, हाँ, converts it into, अच्छा, lexemes represent होती in the form of tokens. Lexemes are represented in the form of tokens.
and it also removes the white spaces, comments and tabs. ये मैं आपको एक बोल इसकी ये हुई takes the
Syntax analyzer takes the token one by one and uses CFG to construct a parse tree. ये अच्छी लाइन है, ये मुझे याद रखनी है. इस तरह से मुझे थोड़ा सा पुराना भी याद है. CFG कॉन्टेक्स्ट फ्री ग्रामर लगेगा इधर. uses इसमें पहले इतनी दंदर लिखी है मैंने. Name is to make sure so is correct or not. काटो, कितना याद करेंगे, रट्टू पोपड़ बनना है. The main syntax is based on the rules of specifying by constructing with the help of tokens with model structure. The first phase of scanners was as a text scanner. This phase scans the source code as a stream of characters converted into lexemes. Tokens. The first phase of scanner works as text scanner. This phase scans the source code. Lexical हो गया यार, ठीक है. इसको ज़्यादा बकवास दिया इसने. Scans source code as a stream of characters into meaningful lexemes. बकवास लिखा है, पता नहीं क्या इसमें. This phase scans the source code as a stream of characters and converts it into meaningful lexemes. Lexical analyzer represent these lexemes in the form of tokens. Classify lexical units into classes like constants, reserved words, enter them in source program. Tokens, access identifier, syntax analysis. The main aim of this phase is to make sure that the source code was written by the programmer is correct or not. It takes all the tokens one by बस कर अब. Syntax analysis is based on the rules based on specific programming language by constructing parse tree. Obtains checks if the grammar is syntactically correct or not. इसे check करान क्या grammar expression चा syntactically क्या go word syntactically checks if the expression is syntax, अगर इसको main aims to make source code was written by the programmer is correct or not. हाँ, इसमें context free grammar भी use होता है, ठीक है. Any identifier number is an expression. If x is an identifier, y plus 10 is an expression, then x is equal to is a statement. अच्छा ठीक है. Semantic analysis checks the semantic consistency to the sentence. Semantic analysis checks the semantic consistency of the code. It uses the syntax tree of the previous phrase along with the symbol table to verify that the given source code is semantically consistent. It checks whether the code is conveying an appropriate meaning. Sorry, culprit का सर. अगर semantics फिर वहाँ पर क्या चेक होते हैं? वहाँ पर क्या होता है? Syntactically. कोड छा correct कि ना? कोड छा correct. Syntact, semantic क्या करान check दिल? Semantic analysis checks the semantic consistency of the code. It checks the syntax tree of the previous phrase along with it to verify that the given source code is semantic. It also checks whether the code is conveying an appropriate. Semantic analyzer will check for type mismatches, incompatible operands, a function called with improper arguments and amplifiers. पागल दिमाग खराब. Helps you to store information gathered and save it in. Allows you to perform type checking. Type checking go to go kya? In the case of type mismatch, when there are no exact type, intermediate code generation. यार 3 एड्रेस कोड जनरेट होगा. इसमें तो वही याद रहता है मेरे को. 3 एड्रेस कोड पता नहीं क्या होता है, पहले कल पिट जा रहा है सारा. It generates intermediate code which is a form that can be readily executed by a machine. We have many popular intermediate codes. For example, 3 address codes. Intermediate code is converted to machine language using the last 2 phases which are platform dependent. Till intermediate code it is same for every compiler out there, but after that it depends on the platform. To build a new compiler, we don't need to build it from scratch. We take the intermediate code from already existing compiler and build the last 2 parts. Code optimizer, it transforms the code so that it consumes fewer resources and produces more things. अब code optimizer है. It transforms the code so that it consumes fewer resources and produces more speed. The meaning of code being transformed is optimized. Target code generator of is to write a code that the machine can understand, also register allocation, instruction selection, extra. The output is dependent on the type of assembler. This is the final stage of compilation. Semantic analysis checks whether the parse tree constructed follows the rules of language. For example, assignment of values is between compatible data types. Assignment and adding string to an integer also keeps track of whether identifiers are clearly for use or not. Intermediate. After semantic analysis, it checks if the uh, preferred data types are used. Is between compatible data types. Khale. Is between compatible data types and adding string to an integer. Also, the semantic analyzer keeps track of the identifiers, their types, and after semantic analysis, the compiler generates an intermediate code of the up or the task. It represents a program for it is in between the high level language and the machine language. Code optimization. The next phase does code optimization of the internet. Code optimization can be assumed as something that removes unnecessary code lines. ये मुझे समझ में आता है, इतना मुझे घुस रहा है दिमाग में, कुछ भी unnecessary हो वो ये remove करेगा. Arranges the sequence of statement in order to speed up the program execution without wasting resources. Code generation. In this phase, the code generator takes the optimized representation